Hey, it's Four with Playboy.
And my Playboys Bunny.
And welcome to our podcast where we discuss pickup, game, relationships, and...
Sex.
The wall, defined, and the characteristics of. It can't get any drier than that.
Oh.
But you got to start somewhere. Because I put up a couple examples of the wall, which is, you know, a girl that's younger. We used, you know, some of their better pictures, like Bridget Fonda.
That was a cruel
comparison. It's not the best. It's Jennifer
so Love Hewitt. It's like, oh
yeah, but Jennifer Love Hewitt is a good example because it's subtle.
Yeah,
you know, it's not like two different people.
Yeah,
you know, it's just a subtle changes.
Yeah, Bridget Fonda. That's a lot.
Some of these are too much. Kelly McGillis that was with Tom Cruise. You know, those are categories of like lots of things were going on.
Clearly,
but let's define the wall in the first place. Okay, it's not 23. You know, these guys are like, oh, girls all hit the wall at 25.
Well, yeah, and this is an interesting point because about every month or so, I ask, you know, at what age in relation to you, men, what age do women your age start to look like old women? And I will get answers everywhere from 23 to never. You know, to, well, or if they're still youthful acting, then they, you know, I mean, everything in between. But a lot of it's like 23, 24, 25. I'm like, holy fuck.
No. Don't kid yourself, guys.
Your brain's not even fully formed yet.
No.
I mean, I'm just like, what is wrong?
But the wall it's an intersecting point. And there's a couple of different, it's like two moving targets at the same time.
It is.
And they come together. It's an intersecting point where a woman's declining sexual attractiveness in her advancing years goes beyond the tipping point to where she goes from sexually desirable to undesirable. And that is two things. That will be two things. It'll be her and her ability to preserve herself.
Yeah.
And the viewer. These are two perceptions that vary.
It matters. What I mean? Yeah, because two different men can view the same woman completely differently at the same exact moment in time. And you could take two 45-year-old men viewing the same 40-year-old woman, and she truly is too old for him. You know, he looks at her and she looks like his mother in his mind for whatever reason. The other one is like, she's good to go. Yeah.
It does, you know,
I get that.
It has nothing to do with, you know, your view is what matters, but it's an intersecting point. We notice that, you know, as you get older, the whole thing moves, you know, because a 35-year-old woman, when you're 20, looks older.
Sure.
You know, she looks like your mom, you know, so all these things are variables, but it is an intersecting point that most people can look at, because I've seen a time lapse where they basically did like animation and took a girl and just basically from like a child all the way to old age. And there was a tipping point where she just kind of like, the change in the face was enough that she went from attractive to plain. Does that make sense? I wouldn't even say, you know, unattractive. Just she tipped, you know, and there's a lot of things that go into that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Those are fascinating, like time lapse kind of videos.
Yeah, this is one of those things you kind of need visual, but I think Jennifer Love Hewitt's a fine example of an average girl that we could view from time.
Yeah.
You and I have talked about it. It's an average girl with average genetics and average lifestyle, other than the money, that aged like an average woman.
She did.
Yeah.
She just aged like an average woman.
Which shocks everybody. You know, because I guess if you see your peers, and I'll say from let me ask you, I got a better question, then we'll go into it.
Okay.
How much are women aware of? Do they ever talk about it amongst themselves?
I had never heard of this term, or even like the idea of this the concept before I started hanging out in the red pill Twitter. Never heard of it before in my life. Never. And never thought anything of it. I mean, yes, women get older, You know, it's not that I'm oblivious to the fact that we're aging and that we don't look like we did in the mirror when we were 23, but it's not a concept that I was ever made aware of.
I think women do talk about it, and you see it in some mainstream media where they talk about men don't notice me anymore. You know, there's been some like different articles. I've never heard that
before. This
articles
neighborhood.
Yeah, well, and we're aware of it now. You probably scanned right past it. You had a toddler. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you'll see it in some magazines where the woman's like, I used to hate that men would catcall me. Now they never cat. You know, I walk in, they don't hold the door open for me.
Yeah.
They don't even see me. It's where women become invisible. And I think that might be the way that society, general society, or women describe the effects of the wall, is they all of a sudden go from noticeable and seen to invisible.
Right.
You know, and it's the same thing.
Which is, I mean, and I agree completely with what you're saying, but what's interesting is any reference to kind of what we're talking about before I entered Red Pill Twitter, it was actually the opposite of that. It was, now that I'm a little older, people actually go out of their way to help me because I'm older.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I've never had an older friend or mentor, but in all fairness, I've always been surrounded by middle to upper middle class women who took very good care of themselves, were always fit. Even if they weren't fitness people, they always stayed lean and trim and attractive, wore makeup, did their hair, didn't leave the house.
Know how to dress.
Yeah, so I might just have an unfair advantage in this.
Well,
realm.
we do. We're in fitness, where appearance matters.
Yeah.
The most dangerous thing for women in fitness as they get older is they're too lean.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
it's rough.
And as soon as you know that, you can like counter it. You know,
Yeah.
you find that happy balance. What is interesting is like doing what we do. We sit down with a lot of people from the general public. You know, yeah, they tend to skew a few, but across the board sometimes, is that you can sit down with like a 45 or a 50-year-old woman, and one looks like she's 35.
Yeah.
And you cannot tell the difference between her and a woman who just had their firstborn, or you know.
Yeah, it's true.
And another one will sit down, 60 to 100 pounds overweight, short gray hair, and it looks like your grandmother.
Yeah, it's true.
Same age.
Well, and even like we've talked about, even like your initial phone call with them, it's like you keep double checking the age on the application.
So bad.
And she's your age, but she sounds like she's 80.
She sounds like your grandmother.
It's so strange.
It is.
Women just carry themselves differently. They look differently. They don't take care of themselves. It shows in every facet of life.
They're old at 40.
Yeah.
You know, which nowadays not necessarily. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So a lot of it, and I will share I'm 55 and I'll be 56 this year. I think we figured that out.
Yes.
Even the girls with great genetics, great self-care, and everything working in their favor that are my age all started looking older in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
how much of that was COVID, do you think? I mean, literally, because that was hard on people.
Yeah. I guess you're absolutely right. You know, I mean,
it just let me ask you this. What about the Playboys Bunny girl that legitimately a Playboys Bunny?
I should stand corrected. She's my age and she still looks 37, 38 years old. But she's an anomaly. She's an anomaly. Genetics.
But I'm just thinking
no, you stand corrected. I do stand corrected. I guess she still looks good.
Because if anybody would have weathered that probably the best, it would be like her in her position.
No different than a Hollywood starlet that had like Halle Berry or any of those that have like aged well.
Yeah.
You know, but she's in that upper stratosphere.
Oh yeah, no, she's definitely an outlier.
Yeah, in every way. But even the girls that are upper middle class affluent took a hit.
Yeah.
But like Bunny says, a lot of it, because they go to the gym every day, and if they weren't able to go to the gym, it goes on. It comes on fast.
It's hard.
Yeah. So,
and it's bad mentally. It's bad emotionally. It's bad mentally. It's bad physically.
It's a good point. It's a very interesting point. So,
it does make me wonder.
Yeah. But again, we're talking about a lot of girls through their own efforts, genetics, and I guess mental health well into their 50s.
Yeah.
You know, just look fine, you know, as opposed to like that tipping point, you know.
Yeah.
So.
And meanwhile, I mean, and you say that, and meanwhile, okay, I'm 45 at this moment, and the girls that I went to high school with, about half of them are already starting, but they're massively huge.
Well, that's gonna, yeah.
And so, like, their face is literally like pulling down. Their cheeks are so swollen that they're actually like becoming jowls. I think even before they would have anyway. I mean, just things like this that play into. And we went to more of a rural area. You know, you were in the city, in high school. You know, so we have a little bit different kind of demographics of classmates, let's say. But most of the girls that I went to high school with, all the ones, let me say this, all of the ones that stayed home, essentially, that still live in that rural area, look horrible.
Country life's hard on women.
But the ones that got out and moved to cities look good.
A lot of it would have to do with who your peers are.
Yeah.
What your family looks like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a big influence. You know, but mostly it's peers. You know, do all of her girlfriends work out? Do they stay home?
Yeah.
Are they all killing themselves at like lower end jobs and working bad shifts?
Right.
You know, a lot of it goes into lifestyle, and sometimes it has nothing to do with what they can control. I mean, it's just like the last 3 years, Bunny's been working the classic personal trainer shift, which is built for 25 and 30-year-olds, you know, and going in at 4:45 in the morning and not really finishing till like 8 or 9 at night.
Yeah.
And it nearly killed her. You know,
I mean, call it aging in dog years.
God, I mean, and it starts accelerating because it's in training, in personal training, we have what we call short nights.
Yeah.
Because you don't get done till like 7, 8, or 9 o'clock at night. And you always have to be back up at 4:30 in the morning or 5.
Right.
And nobody goes straight home and goes straight to bed. I mean, it's just not how it works.
Yeah, I have a family.
You got
I have
kids. Yeah.
I got houses. I've got all kinds of.
So you got a short night.
Yeah.
And then you have a split shift. And you're always at the gym. And you're not always working out. So it's cumulative fatigue.
Yeah.
And that really starts wearing on anyone.
It is. It's rough.
Again, but it'll make men look more rugged, and it's just hard on women.
Yeah.
You know?
But I think even with men, the cortisol levels.
Oh, sky high.
You know,
yeah.
it does make you more swollen.
Oh,
yeah. You know.
Makes fat loss harder.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of it does come down to lifestyle.
Yeah.
Work choices, you know. But the wall, again, it's a moving target. And not all women will hit it. I mean, I have some clients that are in their 60s.
I'm thinking 60s, of one in particular.
70s, and you're like,
she looks exactly like her daughters.
She looks like 5 years older than her daughters, who are all 30.
It's insane.
Again, and the daughters look incredible too.
Yeah,
they followed their mom's footsteps, genetics, self-care.
Who followed her mom, who is like 90 and still looks like she could be 50.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Again, all of it adds up.
Again, though, I do want to point out, like with this family in particular, it's not only genetics. They also taught and passed on the rules of feminine self-care, of making sure that your face is taken care of, you know, she's one of the last holdouts to still be coloring her hair, which I know a lot of you guys think that you're adamantly opposed to. But if it's the difference between your 45-year-old wife or girlfriend being solid gray-haired and looking 65 and her still coloring her hair in a tasteful way, you're going to go with her looking 45.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, But in this family in particular, they were very cautious and studious about passing along the lessons, the rules of keeping yourself together, in shape, and well cared for.
It's freakish. Even the daughters are probably 3 to 5 years difference in age.
Yeah.
And they look like twins.
You think they're twins.
Yeah. It is freaky deaky.
But.
And very natural too. I mean, that's where a lot of people start seeing these girls with a lot of fillers and everything.
And that's because they genuinely just took care of their skin instead of immediately trying to poof them up and doing like the strange thing like Madonna's doing.
It's not good.
It is scary.
That's what the wall is. And I hate to break it to you, but they're not going to hit it at 20. Well, there's girls that don't take care of themselves that by 25 they are looking bad.
There are some girls who genuinely peak in high school. I mean, genuinely peak in high school.
I saw a couple cases of that.
And never look good
again.
Yeah. I mean, by graduation, they actually look like they're already 25.
It's truly crazy.
In a negative way, not like in a hot way.
Yeah, it's truly insane.
So, it is certainly a thing.
Yeah. Age is not kind to women.
No.
Across the board.
Age, stress.
Yeah. But again, there will be two variables, which is how they're taking care of themselves.
Yeah.
And what your eye picks up.
Yeah.
And where you're at in and what is attracted to you.
Yeah, exactly.
So those are the two things. The wall is a moving target, which is good and bad.
Yeah.
It's hard for everybody to come together.
I would say that moving target is hardest on the women.
Very much so.
Yeah.
So if you guys like this podcast, share, comment below. Guys usually do like to talk about this stuff.
Yeah, guys love to talk about how shitty women look.
There's that. And if you like this podcast, again, share it, and we will talk to you later.
We want you to win. Bye.